100% sure that these are just shavings from my fireplace. I really appreciate you guys tuning in to another fun-filled, fantastic eyeball fest of glory known as Helimoto. But seriously, I do really appreciate you all tuning into Helimoto, my little YouTube channel, and especially now that YouTube has demonetized everybody that's below 1,000 subscribers, which I am substantially below 1,000 subscribers. Probably always will be, and that's okay. I greatly appreciate every single one of you that has taken the time to push that button and be a subscriber and watch this stuff. You know, one of the things that really made me do is kind of examine why it is that I take the time to film these things and then spend the hours, I know it doesn't seem like it, but spend hours editing these videos so that you guys can share in my misadventures and just come along for the ride. So I know I like to do that. There's plenty of I'm subscribed to quite a few smaller channels, and I just enjoy the I don't know, the effort people put in, and just seeing other guys' lives too. So anyhow, without further ado, what we're going to do today is attempt to change the oil for the first time on my new / old 2011 KTM 350XC-F. And it looks like a fairly straightforward process. It's not like my Honda CRF 450X that had two different oil chambers. This one only has one. Ergo should be a little bit simpler. So let's get rolling. All right. Thanks again for tuning in. All right. So the first step, if you want to go ahead and start the bike up, let her run for a few minutes, warm up, and here's how it's probably about 30 degrees out here right now. A little snowy, so definitely going to need a little bit of a longer warm up than normal. And we'll get that oil flowing nice and wetly, whatever. So now, once you've had the engine warmed up for a few minutes, you go ahead and let it cool down to where you have to warm it up again by the time you get the oil drain plug off of there. So be advised, it is a 13 millimeter wrench size that is a bit of a challenge to actually get into the spot where you need to get into to loosen it up. So anyhow, before you really get going, you gotta have some form of energy drink and a cocktail in a cup that you got for free from the hospital because you go there every few months with your 6-year-old. You have to have a random assortment of tools. You need to be playing some kind of music from the 80s, and otherwise you're good to go ahead and take that bolt out and allow the oil to drain. So let's do that. So here's the bolt. That's the bolt right there. It's a 13 millimeter. I'm not going to be changing the filter right now. I know that is just the most terrible thing you can possibly do in this world. It really is, other than kicking puppies. But I'm also going to put, to add insult to injury, I'm going to be using Shell Rotella heavy duty synthetic engine oil made for diesel engine. Why? Why, you may ask? Because I'm a rock and roll rebel and I'm cheap, and that's what the guy that had the bike before me recommends. So I'm gonna trust him. So let's see if the engine blows up. If so, you guys will probably be there for that. So that'll be cool. All right, so I have a conspiracy theory for you guys. It's my theory that engine makers and engine part makers make putting or changing the oil in any of these modern motocross type machines a pain in the butt so that they can sell more engine parts. Dude, it's taken me like 20 minutes to try to get the just the drain bolt off. Now granted, I'm not real smart, I understand that, I get that, but nonetheless, look at the space you're working at. Okay, there's almost no way to get a socket in there. You have to take the skid plate off. Luckily the guy before me actually made the hole in the plate big enough to where I could get a wrench in there at all. Otherwise, you got to take the whole the skid plate off and everything else. What a pain. Ergo, you know, most guys, yeah, they say they're changing the oil every 5 hours. Come on, they're not. Anyhow, so we are actually going to change the oil per the owner's manual, which is I think it says 8 hours. That's probably not going to happen. Let's be real. Depending on how long I'm riding, I'll change it after every race, before and after every race, and then probably realistically every 8 to 10 hours. Okay, so I'm sure you can see the drain plug there. That's a magnetized drain plug on my KTM. I'm 100% sure that these are just shavings from my clutch plates. So I do have a little bit of seepage here up there on the head, which means, you know, if nothing else, it means they at least check the valves and all that good stuff. So that's good. All right, let's continue this odyssey. Okay, so my next step is I'm gonna fill my oil up to the second little indentation there, and that way I know that I've got roughly 1.1 liters of milky honey goodness in there, and then every 8 or so hours I'm going to swap it out, or before my next race. But I really don't have another race till for about 2 months, so I spilled a little. That's why it's important to keep a mat up underneath your bike. Alright, so we filled it up. About right there, it came out and it was about right there. So I'm taking into account there might be still a little bit of oil residual left in there. So it's not a good idea to overfill. So I'm going to put this delicious Rotella 5-weight 40 full synthetic. I know there's people that don't like full synthetic in a bike. I get it. I used to run semi all the time. But this is what the guy before me ran, and the bike is great. It's well within tolerances on the valves and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and run the same thing because it's been working. So that's that. I managed to get the bolt back on. Only took about 5 or 10 minutes. Instead of the 20 it took to take off. So that's good. Alright, so let's refill this bad boy. I don't like the idea of my cap coming off. Do a little how-to video. My wife is really concerned I'm talking to myself. So my theory is it's better to fill the engine with new oil, albeit less expensive oil, more often than it is to, you know, less occasionally fill the engine with more expensive oil. In other words, a lot of guys like to think that they, you know, oh, I change my oil every 5 hours, every other ride, or usually, now let's be honest, most guys don't actually do that. But when they do, you know, usually it's probably every 15 to 20 hours. But they're going to do that with finest oil that Honda can make, or whoever, you know, like Motor X or whatever it is that KTM recommends. But they're not going to do it nearly as often as you could if you're running Rotella from Walmart for 20 bucks for a gallon of it. So that's my theory. And then every other oil change, I'll change the filter. And clear out the oil filter as well. So, should I do it more often? Yeah. So then you're talking, you know, $7 each time you replace that filter. And let's be honest, I don't really honestly believe it needs to be changed every 5 hours. I just don't think it's going to happen. So we'll find out, you know. Although, you know what, I am not Ryan Dungey. So my bike should be okay. Yeah, there we go. So that's pretty much it, guys and gals. Next thing I'll do is obviously run the engine for a little bit, make sure that it actually worked and works. I'll ride the bike around the neighborhood to piss off my neighbors, and make sure that the oil rolls around inside the engine, does whatever it does, magically keeping everything functional. So thanks again for tuning in to Marginal Maintenance with me, Helamoto. All right, guys, have a good day. Bye.